Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by former UFC lightweight champion fighting his final fight on November 12th at where else? Madison Square Garden, Frankie the Answer, Edgar. Frankie, thanks for joining us. I'm really excited about this fight. And, we've had a lot of UFC fighters. We've had a lot of former wrestlers on. You've been fighting in the UFC since 2007, which is sort of incredible. You have the record for the longest amount of time spent inside the octagon. How you're still standing, I don't even know. But you actually entered the MMA world just a few weeks after you were done wrestling in college. Did you know that this was obviously going to be where you ended up in your career, or how did it all work out?
Yeah, I didn't know, back in,
wow.
I graduated college in 2005 and MMA was not what it was today. I didn't even know it was going to be a career option, to be honest. It was just something. The Ultimate Fighter actually was on TV my senior year of college, and I seen some, wrestlers, college wrestlers that I knew on the show do well. So that piqued my interest, and I knew I wanted to train and at least give it a try, jump in there and get in a fight, but I never knew it would lead to a career at the moment. So, being here, it's kind of like I pinched myself to still can't believe that I'm a professional fighter.
Yeah. Well, you kind of had to take a chance in a way because nobody really knew what, like you're saying, like what was going to happen. Would this be something that would catch on? Would people be interested in it? And it must have been kind of an incredible ride. Like you've gotten to see the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And I got to see it build from literally, we started on Spike, then we went to Fox, now we're on ESPN. It's literally one of the mainstays of ESPN sports. I always talk about the big four. I think you got to throw the UFC in there now. It's definitely one of our most popular sports in our country and in the world, really.
Yeah, what is it about MMA, about UFC? What is it you think that has drawn people to it as a sport? Because you're right, it's very popular. My husband is always last second figuring out how we're going to order the pay-per-view. I don't even know how much this thing costs, Frankie. It's out of control at this point, but it's very popular. And it used to be that people would kind of get all hyped up, to watch boxing, but people do that now for UFC. What is it about it that you think that kind of drew people in?
I think everybody gets fighting, I'll quote my good friend Hensel Gracie. Fighting's the best thing a man can have in his soul. And not saying that everybody's got to fight, but, you fight to get out of bed. You fight to stay away from cookies. Everybody's got to have that. I feel like...
We wouldn't know anything about fighting in our family. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Different kind.
I'm sure, yeah. You got to have some fight, right? And I think people just appreciate it. It's... Dana White always says if there's like 3 sports going on or 4 sports on each corner, basketball, football, baseball, and fighting, everyone's going to go watch the fight.
Yeah. And it's also, I think it's fun to watch because it is pretty fast paced and it's not like you need to know a whole lot about it to get it and understand what's going on. The only thing I'll say is when we're watching, I'm always like, I hope there's no bone that like snaps of somebody's, because that kind of stuff, that makes me upset. I remember watching my brother wrestle in high school. It's really hard to watch someone you care about in pain and in these contorted positions and stuff. And as a wrestler, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in much the same way, when I'm watching these fights, I'm just like, oh, I hope nothing bad happens. Do you ever think about that before you go in, like how badly you could get hurt, or you've just like, at this point, it doesn't even matter. You've seen it all.
Yeah. I made my mind up. I don't
Yeah.
think past it that night. You know what I mean? So I'm always expected to be a little bit banged up, and that's usually the case after a lot of fights. But yeah, you can't go in there worrying about that stuff. I never think I get hurt too bad, and luckily I'm still walking.
Well, I've talked to, I feel like so many legends who are now retired, like Frank Mir, Tito Ortiz. I've also talked to people in the middle of their careers, like Colby Covington. But you're the first pro fighter that we've talked to on this show who's about to go to war in his last fight of his career. So how do you come to that decision? Because that is kind of a big decision to say, like, this is the one, I'm going to go out no matter what happens here.
Yeah, I'm 41 years old. Fighting is definitely a young man's sport. I always said it, as long as I was competitive, as long as I was having fun, as long as my body will let me, I'll do it forever. And I still feel like I'm competing with the best guys in the world. I definitely love what I do. but my body, it is catching up a little bit. You know, I feel good now for this camp. That's kind of why I decided to even have this fight. I was thinking about retiring a year ago, but my body kind of feels pretty good. So I figured, let's get one more. It's going to be at Madison Square Garden, pretty much in my backyard. And the timing was right. You know, I'm an all or nothing type guy. And I never got into other endeavors because I was so focused on my fight career. So now I got to let that pass and, you know, worry about what's next in life.
God, and you know what, to hear you, Frankie, say that you're 41 and like that, I just turned 40 like 2 weeks ago. So I got to tell you, it's like the most depressing thing when you're like, oh, we're the old people now. I mean, like, what is happening? That's sort of a depressing thing, but I do love that you're 41 and you are still able to hang. So I feel like I may have like just a year left. What do we think?
You can get in there. We'll get you in.
So your last fight obviously is at Madison Square Garden, very close to your hometown. We were talking before the show about Toms River, New Jersey. And how does it feel going into this last fight? Were you kind of aiming for it to be at MSG?
I think, you know, knowing that they're going to be here in November this summer, my body started feeling good. I was getting some consistent training in, and I just felt like it was a perfect recipe. You know, if I'm going to go, let's do it in New York, the world's most famous arena. I'm driving there. You know, I'm driving there, driving home. Can't beat that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I know, better than what I get to do these days, which is fly quite a bit. You got married in 2008. You have 3 kids. How is the family feeling about your future retirement after this fight? Is it going to be strange for them, or is everybody kind of happy about it because it's a stressful thing when you fight? How does everybody feel?
Yeah, I think my wife's ready for it to be done. You know, me and my wife, we went to college together. We were together since we were 19, and she dealt with my college career. She dealt with, you know, the beginning part of my career and, you know, all the way through till now. So I'm sure she's looking forward to it. My kids, they're, you know, they're finally getting what I do. You know, my oldest is 14, and then I have a 13-year-old and an 8, and they're kind of getting it. So, you know, they're excited for me to be home more, for sure.
Just do they come and watch you fight?
They do, yeah. This fight will be the first time they all come. But my boys have come fast, but now my daughter will come for the last one.
Oh my gosh. Well, that must be kind of awesome. How is your wife though? Whenever you're in the middle of a fight, because like I was saying, I feel like it's really hard to watch someone that you care about and someone who you love sort of in the midst of all of this chaos, and, you know, they could get hurt and there's all kinds of crazy things that happen. How has that all been for her? Obviously, like you said, you guys have known each other for so long and she's been part of this really from the beginning, but does it affect her still?
Yeah, she's great at not showing it to me, you know.
Yeah.
We'll always hang out, you know. I'll leave her, you know, probably like 6 o'clock before I head to the arena and everything, and she always keeps her stuff together for me, not to show the worry, you know. But afterwards, it all comes out, and I got to deal with some emotions.
I mean, you can't blame her. I feel like it is so hard to watch somebody you love like getting hurt in any way at all, and you can't do anything to help them. I think that's the worst part of it. It's the most frustrating part I remember from watching my brother's wrestling matches. But speaking of your kids, what about them? Are we gonna see any of them maybe enter the octagon in a few years? Anybody have any interest? What do you think?
You know, my middle guy, Santino, he wrestles. He's all in. He says he wants to fight. He loves hitting pads. But you know, don't put the brakes on that. We'll always work out. Let's focus on wrestling. Maybe get into college. You know, worry about our wrestling career, and then we'll see. If he still wants to do it, of course I'll support him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so cool just to watch. You know, my kids are young, they're 3 and 5, but to see the things that they do and they're interested in that, you know, is either something that I've done in my past, I still do, something my husband loves doing. That's such a cool thing. Do you love the fact that, you know, you might be able to see one of your kids kind of follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like my oldest, he wrestles a little bit for school. My middle guy's more in, and my daughter, even 8-year-old, she does jiu-jitsu. So it's really cool. Just it's like a family secret you're passing on to your kid, you know, and that they can pass on to their kids if they choose to. So yeah, it's definitely something special.
All right, I have to ask you about this now. You just brought up jiu-jitsu. So both of my kids I put into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And Yeah, so I've heard from so many people about this that it is one of the greatest things you can do for your kids. They really only been in for like 3 months, maybe not even that long, 2.5 months. So far, I love it. They're doing everything they can to get a stripe on their belt. I mean, they're
Yeah, oh,
willing
yeah.
to just go to the ends of the earth for a stripe. What is it that you've seen about it for your kids that you feel like has been really positive? Because everyone has told me I should do it, so I've done it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it gives kids confidence, and the confidence helps them not get bullied, because when you
Mhm.
know how to take care of yourself, maybe it makes kids that maybe are bullies not bullies also.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because once you
Yeah.
know what you're doing and you know how to do it, you don't feel like you need to push people around. You kind of feel more confident about yourself. Or a kid that's maybe not as confident gives them confidence to stand up to the bully, and just the discipline and sacrifice that you have to have in a combat
Mhm.
sport is amazing for a kid to learn.
Well, so far, my son, who's the 5-year-old, I feel like kind of gets it. Like he gets the goal. My daughter, every time I go and watch them at these at their practices, my daughter's just like the one who doesn't even resist. She just kind of like falls to the ground. So I'm waiting. I'll report back on her
Okay.
future
Yeah.
career because we're not quite there yet, but I
Oh,
think perhaps
she's got some
she'll
time.
figure it out.
So yeah, she'll be
She's 3,
fine.
so
Yeah.
we'll give
The
her
fact
a
that she's
pass.
done that is amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. I think it's gonna be good overall, and not for nothing. It's pretty fun to watch to get them in these outfits and just send them out there. I love seeing it. So
Absolutely.
we'll see if Carolina has a future career down the line. Jiu-jitsu, UFC. We'll see what comes. What about what's next for you? You have the. I know. I'm sure all of your focus has been on this fight and on kind of wrapping up this incredible career you've had. You currently host the Champ and the Tramp podcast. Love the name. I also heard you do some stand up. What can we expect from you? We're going to see you at comedy clubs. What's coming down the line?
Well, yeah, I definitely have my toes in a lot of avenues, I guess, and I do have the Champ and the Tramp podcast with Roger Matthews from Jersey Shore fame. We just kick it, it's very low key, laid back type podcast, but speak to we're both like minded guys, so kind of have the same agenda. I did do a comedy special this past summer. I don't know if I'll do that again. I did it because it scared me. That's why I did it.
Oh, interesting.
But it was cool. I loved it. I may do it again just because I think I could do better, but I don't know if I'd continue to do it. I did also act in a movie. I'm actually having the cast and crew premiere tonight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a low budget indie film, but so I dipped into that a little bit. But I'll definitely be involved, stay involved with mixed martial arts. I'm probably gonna open up a gym here in Toms River soon. Maybe get into the managerial side. My manager Ali Abdelaziz has probably one of the biggest stables in the game. I think I could see myself helping him out, and maybe even doing some analyst work for the UFC as well.
All right, I love it. We've got a lot of different avenues we could go down here. At what age would you recommend people start kind of looking at MMA? I mean, obviously you're talking about your kids wrestling. I assume that's probably how most people start. And at what age do they, start getting into MMA, or could they start younger?
Yeah, I mean nowadays, like in the past, it'd be you came from jiu-jitsu background or a wrestling background and then got that. But now MMA schools are opening up right away, so you can start as young as 5 years old in MMA.
Oh, wow.
Just with it's pretty much jiu-jitsu and wrestling and just striking, but you add them all together and make it more of an MMA type class.
I love it. All right. Well, we'll look for your gym if we're up that way. Stop in sometime whenever you could let us know. And I love that you did comedy because it scared you. I think doing things that make you uncomfortable or scare you is the greatest thing you can possibly do for yourself. For me, look, for our entire family, none of us had ever done anything in the political world. And I got to tell you, when my father-in-law ran for president in 2016, nobody gave us a guidebook and was like, oh, here's how you do this. Here's how you go out and do interviews. They were just like, here, go out and talk to people. And obviously that is a scary thing to do, but it was one of the greatest things we ever did. We learned so much. So I love that you did that. What prompted you to do that? Was somebody like, hey, there's a comedy hour, you should come down? How did that work out?
Well, they did. It's called, I believe, the MMA Comedy Jam, where Adam Hunter ran it. He's a professional comedian, and he got three or four fighters that aren't comedians, and we just had a comedy night in Vegas. So it's for Fight Pass. I think it's on Fight Pass. You can catch it. Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm glad I did it. Like I said, it was scary. Nothing when you're nervous. It's nothing makes you feel more alive. So why not?
I love it. I think that's so great. I love to know that, somebody who's like just such a badass in so many other ways. Like, I don't know, I got to go tell some jokes to people, because that is, there are a lot of things that I would do. I don't know how I would be as a stand-up comedian, and maybe that's something I should try. Would you recommend it to people out there?
I would, absolutely. I mean, you already, you're very good at speaking in front of the camera and all that stuff. So you'd probably you'd be a natural.
I could add it to my resume. I'm sure there are a lot of people out in Hollywood who would love to offer me some sort of a contract. They're chomping at the bit as we speak. What about this? I have to ask everybody, because I'm always intrigued by the answers. Would you ever run for political office? Why or why not?
Okay. I'll say why and why not.
Okay.
Why I would run for political office is for my kids, to make the world a better place for my kids. BJ Penn just ran for governor in Hawaii, and I was speaking with him, and he was like saying, I didn't want to grow up, my kids get older, saying, Dad, you were the toughest guy in the world. You fought everybody, you fought this, but how come you didn't fight for us? And that's
interesting.
That's why he decided to run, to fight for his kids. Obviously, this way the world is lately, everyone's trying to trample on our rights and whatnot, and I think that would be a reason for me to do it, to fight for my family. The reason I would not is just it's so volatile. You got to really give yourself a lot of yourself in politics, and it's kind of the same reason. I'd rather spend it with my family. So both reasons are I would do it and would not do it is probably for my family.
So Frankie Edgar is leaving us hanging here. We don't have a solid answer. When you're done with the comedy career, maybe we'll revisit it and we'll see what you think. I agree with you though. I think look, no one knows better than someone with our last name the way you are targeted and how disgusting politics ultimately can be in so many different ways. We have all been down that path, believe me, and it's horrible to experience. And these days, it's not just that you enter politics, it's that really your whole family enters with you as well. And it's horrible to see. But on the other side of that, you're exactly right. You do have this incredible ability to affect change that could be very positive for, your own family, for the future of our country. And so I think that I hope more good people decide to run for political office, because gosh, do we need them? Have we needed them now more than ever? But I guess we'll just check back with you. We'll see where you land after this fight. Quick prediction for the fight. What can we expect? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm like every fight I've ever been in, I prepared 100%. I give my all. I'm going to leave my heart in that cage no matter what happens. But the whole goal is to get my hand raised and sail into the sunset.
I love it. Well, great luck. Best of luck. Not that you need it. I'm sure you're very well prepared. Do it for all of us in our 40s now, because right. I'm one of them and I can't believe it, but here we are, blessed to be here. So we'll be watching. Frankie, thanks for joining us. Good luck, and we'll check back to see, when your run for political office will start after all the other things you've got lined up.
Lara, thank you so much. And I'll run for political office. You can do some stand-up. We'll be all right.
Oh, that's a deal. I like where we're going with that. All right. Well, Frankie Edgar, thank you for joining us here on The Right View. We appreciate everything. To everybody at home, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next time for more.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, good luck with the fight. Good luck with every